Hello everyone. So today is our third talk and we will speak about the soul. What is the soul? Right? So we realized after some time in our discussion that just by putting the objects of the senses and the senses together you can gain some temporary pleasure, but you cannot really be happy. So, and there's so many problems as well, so much stress and anxiety that comes up with our desire to satisfy our senses. So, what to do if you want to solve these problems of temporary happiness and distress? You have to actually go up one level. You cannot solve the problem on the same level, right? You have to step up. You have to go on another level. That's why right now companies, they invite mediators if they want to solve the conflict, the third party that has a different perspective, right? While you are drowning, for example, in the swamp, you cannot really get out of the swamp by yourself, right? You need someone else. So as we need someone else to see our problem and how to find a solution, similarly, um, we need to step up, get a different perspective. Um, we have to go on another level. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna speak about the soul. And as I said before, it's very difficult to establish if there is a soul or not, apparently, according to the modern science, because they cannot measure it. They cannot find like what it looks like, the soul, if it exists, right? They cannot measure with material tools. But as I said before, you can see if the soul is within the body uh, just by the symptoms, uh, which is consciousness. So the consciousness within the body is a symptom of the soul being present inside the body. Um, the soul has three qualities, as I mentioned before. So it's eternal, it's full of bliss, and full of knowledge. However, we don't really feel that way. We don't feel blissful. Um, we know everyone is gonna die one day, and we go to school, right? We don't have the full knowledge since birth. So what's the deal? How is it possible? Mm, very interesting question. So let's start talking about it. The soul is eternal. Since our birth, basically, we um, we ask questions, right? We don't really believe that we will die. If you try to explain to the child what what is death, like when you die and then there's nothing else happening after, right? That's it. It's done. It's over. The game is over. The child will not understand. Like how is this possible? Me, like I will die and there'll be nothing else after. So that's the idea of eternity. Another example is given in one of the Vedic texts when two sages um, have a discussion about life. And one of the sages asks, what is the most wonderful thing in life? And the other sage replies, the most wonderful, the most amazing thing in life is that as you live, you see innumerable living entities die around you every single day, but still you continue to think that you will live forever, right? It's not possible. Mm, we don't really feel like we will die. You say you may know that you will die one day, but you don't. you don't feel like you will die tomorrow or today, you know, or even after 1 week. You say at least I will live until 80, 80 years old, because, you know, we're in Australia, everyone is healthy and the life expectancy has increased in the recent years, so I will live until 80. Of course, there is some circumstances, but we don't believe that, you know, we will die. For example, I'm only 23, but I already know 5 people that died this year. One of my close friends, schoolmates, at 23, you know. Everywhere, in Melbourne, in Russia, and also in America, I have one friend. So just in this 1 year, five of my friends died. They're 23 years old, and it's, you know, it's amazing because, you know, they're only 23. So the accidents happen. No one guarantees you that you will live until the 80 years old. And then, what's the point of having such a large house, big family, nice car? There's no really point, because you cannot take it with you, right? You will die. But we continuously think that, you know, even if you're very sick, you still think, I will live one more day, I will live one more day. No one thinks, okay, today I will die. You know, it's impossible. At least one more week. And that's our soul's nature, because we don't believe in death, actually. The society, the philosophers are trying to calm us down, you know, come up with some theory, like stress management, how to reduce the anxiety, you know, before death and so on. It's terrifying. But that's the quality of the soul. We want to live forever. So bliss, as we spoke yesterday, again, is another quality. We want to be happy. Not only we want to be happy just for like half a day, we want to be happy all day, you know, all day long. And even the constant happiness, we don't really want that. We want increasing happiness, you know, in our dreams at least. So that's the quality of the soul. Because it's not material, it has nothing to do with material elements. The problem with material objects, material elements, material body is it's temporary, it's destructible. The time destroys all material objects. All material objects, they deteriorate over time. That's the nature of the material nature. So the Vedic knowledge describes beyond the material nature, beyond these material elements, is life, the spiritual energy, right? So the stone is just a material object made of material elements. It doesn't have any life, right? However, the human body, right? It's moving, acting, living, growing up. So getting old, and that's the nature of the life. Like, it's a symptom of a life, right? So it has a soul inside. That's why it's acting, it's moving, it's living. Similarly, animals also have life inside them, right? They're not just the dead matter. There is a soul within the animal as well, which powers the whole body. Similarly, like human is dead and doesn't show any symptom of life because there is no soul inside. Similarly, the dog is dead, you know, and it doesn't show any symptom of life because there is no soul inside. Soul is gone. So soul can be placed in different bodies. What to speak of animals, the trees also have soul inside because they grow, they act somehow. So wherever there is life, it's powered by soul. Well, one of the interesting books that I read was Life Comes from Life. It's by Srila Prabhupada. He's famous Indian teacher of the Vedic knowledge. Actually, he brought up the knowledge to the West, so we can understand it as well. So life comes from life, right? The son comes from the father, or the daughter comes from the father and the mother. So you can only produce life from life, right? So the scientists right now, they're trying to, they can produce embryo by mixing the sperm and the ovum in the laboratory, but you still need the sperm and the ovum, right? They say in the future we will figure out the chemicals to the certain extent that you will put them together and you will produce a child, but it's not possible. Without the father and the mother and their living energy, it's not possible. Life comes from life. They say they will do it in the future, but it will never happen. Because from chemicals you cannot produce life. It's not possible. That's why the whole theory of, Big Bang and then theory of evolution is questionable, right? The modern world fully accepts it, and that's okay. That's okay. But from the matter, as it was like a Big Bang, the point of singularity, just from the matter, nothing could be produced. If there was antimatter, now they accept there was something else to kind of create this Big Bang, is that antimatter. So that's true. So you need life, you need the creator to create something. And then if you're intelligent enough, you can look around yourself and see how complex is this world, how beautiful it is, right? So it's very interesting. We speak about, I had a discussion with my teacher, school teacher, about this book, God's Delusion, I think it's called. And this scientist, he tries to say, like, why do you need God, Why do you need the creator? Just enjoy the beauty of this nature around you, and why do you even need to think about the creator? So, but if you're intelligent enough, you can notice. Just look at the flowers, how beautiful they are, how like this symmetry, this ability to leave when the sun rises, the flowers open up and they grow towards the sun. So like, it's nature, it's amazing, the night and day, how they pass. Look at the human body. Look how amazing is our brain. And do you really think that our brain was just something that was created by chance, by some explosion? It's a bit confusing. When you look at the beautiful watch on someone's hand, you realize that someone made that watch, Although now it's very automatic process, but if it's very handcrafted watch, we still value that handcrafting because someone made it, someone put so much energy, and it's very beautiful, right? There's nothing created by chance, actually. That's the idea of the Vedic knowledge that is given to us by the sages. And the desire of the soul, so we spoke about eternity, we spoke about bliss, and now let's speak about the knowledge. So the soul is full of knowledge, but how do we forget everything, right? So if the soul knows everything, it's full of knowledge, why the children don't know anything, right? So how does it work? Very, very interesting. But you have to admit that you have a desire to know, right? You have a desire to learn the rules, to learn what is good, what is bad, since childhood. If you want to survive, you have to know, right? Otherwise, it's very difficult to survive in the world. So we need to have knowledge. Right now, you're listening, maybe just one person, but whoever is listening right now has the desire to know. So that's a symptom of the soul as well. Let's speak about real knowledge. Let's speak about the absolute truth. There's so many truths right now, and you don't know what's absolute, what's not, because there's so many theories. But right now we're living, in a world where we accept everything that people say. We respect their opinions, their own truth, their own philosophies. It's because it's very subjective. The lifestyle is very subjective, and everyone is living according to their own philosophy. And maybe, let people live like that. But there is an absolute truth. So the soul is an absolute truth. There's no question whether the soul exists or it doesn't exist. You know, the surgeons, the people who conduct this heart surgery, especially for people who are about to die, who had clinical death, like what do you call it? When the person, the person dies and then they bring him back to life. Many of these people, describe standing above their body and looking at how the doctor's trying to fix their heart, and how trying to put the life back into their body. It's a very common experience. Like, don't think this is like one or two experience. There is a whole, like, there's many books about it where people describe their experience, out of body experience, right? So it's if you speak to the professional surgeons who have conducted many surgeries on the heart, especially people who were almost dead, they can definitely tell you that there is a soul, because they understand. Um, they understand that there is only so much they can do to trying to bring back person to life. They do exactly the same procedure. They try to electrify the body if it's dead. The heart. They try to do the massage. They try to cut the the skin, get into the heart, do the surgery, trying to bring this heart, this engine back to life. But although they do the same thing again and again, some people die and some people don't die. And they understand it's not up to them. Only a certain small percentage, is up to them. Because they do the same procedure, but some people die, some people don't. So now let's return back to our question. So, okay, you may say, okay, fine. Let me think about the soul. Right, I'm the soul. So, but when I'm born, I don't remember anything. So if the soul is eternal, means I was existing before this body. So let's speak about these two concepts. Very interesting. Karma and reincarnation. Let's start with karma. Everyone heard this word, karma. So what does it actually mean? The Vedic knowledge explains. Karma is our actions and our desires, right? What you do, whether physically, with your physical body, whether you say something or whether you think something, you create karma. For every action, you create some sort of karma. And also our desires, right? We desire something. So karma is allowing us to have our desires, to achieve our desires. So let's think about it a little bit. Let's discuss it. Suppose you do a lot of good things. So that's where the idea of good and bad is actually not established by the human society. Right now, the laws of society are dictating what is good and bad, but everyone knows like that these laws were established by religion. So it's not possible to live without religion, although right now no one is really religious, right? Christianity lost its sort of power in the West, still trying to keep it, still trying to maybe force sometimes people, but sometimes not. Same with other religions. They're losing their influence over people because people don't see religions to be necessary for them. So this good and bad, the concept of good and bad is actually absolute, right? You might say killing a person is not bad if it's like a bad person. I don't know, I'm just giving you an example, right? But it will be always a bad action. It will accumulate some sort of bad karma. So, doesn't matter what you believe in, you know? The absolute truth remains absolute truth. You may believe that you're this body, but you're the soul regardless. How can you say you're this body? Just think about it. When you're born, your body changes so much. Like, look at you right now, and remember, just look at the picture of you when you were like 2 years old. It's completely two different people. Like, the bodies are 99% different, like, except the genes and some, characteristics that are expressed through genes, like physical characteristics, but the body is like 99% of the cells are like different. So how can you say you're this body? People lose their arm, you remain the same person. What keeps you the same person? People say, no, but it's just, we are the mind, we are the memory, we are the brain. Also not true. You don't remember anything like when you were 1 year old. Unless you're a special person, there are some people who remember. But when you're 1 year old, you don't remember anything. Right now, like, let's say you're 25 now, or 35 or 65. You forget everything, like in the past. You don't remember what you were doing when you were 1 year old, what you were thinking when you were 2, when you were 3 year old, even 5 year old. It's very hard to remember. But you were the same person, right? If you're the memory, you should remember yourself. Still, you're the same person. So your character changes over life, but you remain the same person. Who are you? Who is the same person? Obviously, it's the soul. Philosophers continue to argue, but they have no idea. At least at university where I studied the philosophy, they get down to memory, right? Identity. But the identity also changes. So it's the soul. So, karma. Karma is acting through our mind. So suppose you do good things, you donate to charity a lot of money, you help children who don't have families, who are sick, for example. You accumulate good karma because it's considered a good action. Charity is a good action. You accumulate good karma. So then you decide basically where you want to spend your good karma. Therefore, your desires are taken into account. So we are speaking right now, karma is the subtle law of nature. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but it's like gravity, law of gravity, While law of gravity acts upon material elements, similarly karma acts upon our mind, our subtle body. So there is subtle laws of nature, you have to understand it. People don't understand it, but somehow or other, everyone has intuition. Oh, I'm suffering right now, it feels like I've done something bad in the past. So you've done some charity, you accumulated this good karma, and then you are thinking, okay, now I want to buy a new house. So you start working hard, for example. And somehow or other the money come, That's just good karma. This is a very simple example. Now, what actually happens is the karma is acting in this life, it will act in the future, even in the past life, right? So think about this. Some people are born sick, right? So the karma sometimes is called the law of justice. Because it's not fair, because some of us are born in a good countries, first world countries, rich, And some people are born in the poor countries, where kids die when they're, just born, or when they're like 5 years old, just because they don't have any facilities for living, just for surviving. So it's not fair. The world is not fair. You hear a lot sometimes from parents, from teachers. The world is not fair. The world is not fair according to the law of chaos. If everything came from chaos and by chance happened by chance, then of course it's not fair. We're trying to create this equality right now, to make everyone equal, to give everyone a fair go. But what fair go can you speak about when one person is born sick and when the other person is not? When one person is born without hands, the other person has hands and can do everything. There is no fair chance, right? So that's karma. There is no justice in the world if you think everything happens by chance. So the Vedic knowledge teaches us actually nothing happens by chance. So how is it fair that some people work honestly all their life, but they are unable to really enjoy life so much? They don't earn so much, They work hard and a lot every day, but they don't earn so much, And how some people, for example, robbers, they steal money, or some people who earn money by doing some transactions through black market, right? They're doing bad things, they're selling people's organs. Yet they are rich, they're living good life, maybe they have good families. So, and then they die, very happy, according to material standards, right? I don't think they die happy, but at least materially speaking, they have all the facilities to live a good life, right? So how is it fair? Of course it's not fair, but we only see everything within this life, right? You have to expand your consciousness a little bit. We spoke about the soul. If you accept there is a soul, you have to understand you have to go beyond this temporary material body, this body that was born. For example, my body was born. It will age, it will get sick, and it will die. And this will happen to everyone. These 4 things will happen to everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are. If you're born, you will start aging. You will get sick at some point in your life. Actually, many times probably. And then you will die. These 4 things only applicable to this material body. Right? So how is it fair? So now, let me give you an example. So we use same example. This person who is in the black market, he selling drugs, for example, or people into prostitution, making a lot of money, spending to buy a big house in a nice place, in, I don't know, wherever, America, Russia, Europe, Australia. In Australia, they buy a great house in Sydney, costing $20 million, right? Living there, their life, has a family, enjoys the life to the full potential, buys as many cars as he or she wants. So enjoying life, like buying all this different food, tasting different food, and enjoying life. The police cannot catch him. They don't know that he's part of the black market mafia or whatever. Yeah. So he's living good life, and then he dies. And so if we accept this, there is a soul and there is a karma, his actions are recorded. Every single action that you do is recorded, imprinted into your subtle body, into the subtle body of the mind. All these bad actions that he's done are imprinted on him. Now what happens is, next life, he gets a body of a child who is suffering a lot, right? And just let me speak. Let me finish this idea, and then I'll say what's there's some differences. So he's born in a, maybe not even sick. He's born in a poor family somewhere in a third world country, where the facilities are so bad that he has to suffer every day from not eating enough, not drinking enough, getting beaten by all these animals, getting beaten by his parents, suffering a lot and living life like a hellish life, you know. And then you say, oh, okay, so it kind of makes sense. Of course, there is a thing with the sick children. We feel very compassionate towards children who are born sick, you know, or don't have any part of limbs, or, you know, missing part of the hand or something. And sometimes the kid dies in a very early age. It's very painful, especially for the parent, you know, who is very caring, who wanted that kid a lot. So if if the child dies before the age of 14, it's not considered to be bad karma. Because actually the karma starts acting when the child turns 14 years old. That's described in the Vedic literature. Before that, the child is free of karma. He's acting somehow or other, just according to his nature, his or her nature. So if the child dies before the age of 14, it's not considered a bad thing. Anyway, it's a big topic, karma and reincarnation. We'll speak about it more later. Very complicated how it works. It will take maybe 5 or 6 hours to explain just a little bit about karma, but I'm just speaking shortly. So simply our subtle body, the subtle body of the mind, is acting like a memory card, memory stick for our actions and desires. So we have to be really careful what we do, right? How we accumulate karma. So then you ask, okay, there is karma, there is reincarnation. So the soul gets a new body. I just remembered. So reincarnation, the soul gets a new body. In the Vedic knowledge is speaking, it says that the soul leaves the old body and gets a new body, like we change the clothes, right? Sometimes we put on warm clothes in winter and we take it off. Just as we change clothes every day, the soul changes the bodies, life after life. That's the example which is given in the Vedic literature. So we are, you may ask, right? So why can't I remember my previous life if there was a previous life? Well, actually some kids can remember. Some kids, they can recall their previous life. But parents, those who are not so intelligent, may consider it just children coming up with some, fairy tales. Like they're just dreaming, they're just making up some stories. But those who are more intelligent, they can notice, oh really, like, what did you do? And these kids, sometimes you can ask, what did you do in your last life? And the kids can answer you. And so there is a lot of documentaries on this point that kids can actually recall and remember who they were. There were some famous persons. The kids, like, they can recall their family, their previous family situation before death. And then they find out that it was actually some famous person that died like a year ago or 2 years ago. So the facts are still there. I'm not speaking something non-factual. So, but why does the person forget everything when he's born, right? Suppose you die and you take the new birth, why do you forget everything? So the Vedas describe actually the death is very painful process, but even still in the womb, the child can remember the previous birth. Actually, it says up to 100 or 500 births he can remember in the womb. But when he's born, the child is born, at this moment when the child takes birth, the child comes out of the womb and it's hit by material nature, by material influence, the subtle laws of nature. You know, until 14 years old, there is no so much influence of karma. Still, there is some influence when you're born. You're born, and still a little bit of karma start acting on you. So it becomes heavy. It's very painful process. Actually, birth is described as more painful than death. Because it was so painful, you forget everything. That's how painful it is. That's why when we are born, most of us cannot remember. Some people remember their previous birth. Most of us cannot remember. So then you ask me, why you telling us all this? Because I try to explain to you how this material world works. So that we are conditioned souls. You have to understand this point. Now let's move on to something more positive. Yeah, we'll discuss these topics, but later. Let's move on to something more positive. So how to be happy? You may ask. How to be how to achieve real happiness. What is real happiness? So, because we are non-material, we're spiritual beings, living souls, the happiness, the real happiness that we are desiring is also non-material. We have to find where is this spiritual happiness. It is very important. Where is the spiritual happiness? And unfortunately, we will have to stop here our discussion based on modern psychology, modern philosophy, or Western philosophy. Why? Because they don't have an answer. Simple. No one has an answer about this non-material spiritual world. But in Vedic knowledge, there is so much deep knowledge about this spiritual happiness, spiritual energy, that it will take many, many years to study, right? So we'll discuss this a little bit. What's the process? How to achieve happiness? What is the real happiness, non-material happiness? How to satisfy the soul? Food for soul, right? Let's start a little bit, just begin this talk, and then we'll continue tomorrow. So as the material senses come into contact with material objects, some pleasure is produced. This is temporary pleasure. We don't really want it. We already discussed it. We don't want it. It's like chewing the chewing gum. The taste is going away too quick. Okay, then what to do? We're spirit souls, and the spirit, we have to attach our spiritual senses or direct our spiritual senses towards the spiritual energy. So when we put these two together, we feel happy and fulfilled. And trust me, you don't need any material things around you. When you feel the spiritual energy, and this is very real thing, you don't need to imagine it. We will try to practice and we will try to connect, right? We will try to experience this. It's very important that you experience this. Don't try to imitate it. Many people right now say, oh, I'm spiritual. I feel this spiritual energy is coming up to me, but many of them, they just use imagination, right? You have to imagine it. No. It's a very serious process. It's a very straightforward process how to feel the spiritual happiness. So we will speak about it, this process, tomorrow, and I really encourage you to participate in this process with me. But anyway, we'll speak about it more tomorrow. Just try to get it, that by contacting this spiritual energy, you can feel happy. This happiness will not have, the real happiness does not have material cause. The real happiness has a spiritual cause, because we are spiritual living souls. So only by contacting with the spiritual energy, the soul can be happy. And it's an amazing feeling, because once you feel it, you realize, wow, I'm happy right now, right in this moment, not in the future, not after 3 years when I'll get this house, I'll be happy, not in 10 years when I save up all my money and buy some very good business, or when I achieve the top position in the company, I'll be happy. No, this is all dreams, and we are living in the future. We are thinking that the happiness somewhere there in the future, but it's right there. That's why the modern human society is often described as non-intelligent by Vedic knowledge. Why? Because it's like donkeys. So there's donkeys in India, and they put something on the donkey, and the donkey carries this load all day. But what they do, they put, for example, someone can sit on a donkey, have a stick, and have a carrot on that stick, hanging on that stick, and they put it in front of the donkey, and the donkey walks towards this carrot, carrying this load on top of it, thinking, it's right there, I can bite it, I can bite this carrot, it's almost there, I just have to walk a little bit. And that's what we do all our life. We just walk towards this carrot. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking that we will be happy in the future, just a little bit, just one more, but it just keeps moving away from us. And what is very interesting, the donkeys eat grass, right? They can be satisfied by eating grass. So as this donkey walks all day towards this carrot, just to get this carrot, it's walking past all this grass next to it, which is available, and that's what we do. So we'll speak about how to be happy right now, right in the moment, without material things, and what is the practice, how to achieve this happiness, how to really realize that you're the soul. There is a practical process. We'll speak about this process tomorrow. So thank you so much for listening. I hope it was not so difficult, and I hope you have some questions for me, so please ask me questions. Based on the questions, it's much easier to build the discussion. So if you have any comments as well, please let me know. Thank you so much. Please share it with those who you love, who you care about, because my only wish is to make people happy and help them realize who they are, who they actually are. And I just sincerely trying to do. I'm sincere with you. I'm trying to be real with you. So please be real with me, and we will probably can do together much more than I can do by myself. So we can live in a society of real people. That's what I'm trying to do. So I thank you so much. We'll see you soon.